Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to do a toss to you, and then I use a sound engineer, Claude, and he's going to take and normalize it, incorporate it, and have the music there. Then we go right into the discussion.
Right.
And Andrew Churchill, Vice President, Federal Sales at Click. Okay, just want to have to be compulsive about these things. So the opening in about 3 seconds. Here we go. John Gilroy from the Federal Tech Podcast.
Andrew Churchill from Click.
Today, we're going to talk about analytics and cloud modernization. Hit the music, Claude. Welcome to the Federal Tech Podcast. My name is John Gilroy, and I will be your moderator. Well, I think everyone knows there's been a tremendous cloud migration in the last few years, accelerated by COVID. What hasn't accelerated is really understanding what's going on and where this whole concept of analytics and the cloud is going to head. So today we have in the studio, we have Andrew Churchill. He's the Vice President Federal Sales at a company called Click, Q-L-I-K. Most people have heard of it, but I have to spell it out so they can go to the correct website. Andrew, give us maybe a thumbnail sketch of your background and maybe give us a rough idea of what we're going to talk about today, please.
Absolutely, John. So I've been with Click for about 8 years and in the federal technology space for almost 30. Most of my time has been in and around data, helping federal agencies leverage data in support of their mission. That's what we do here at Click. And, as the topic of this conversation would imply, a lot of that is beginning to happen in the cloud. So we're really excited to be talking to you about it today.
I have done many podcast interviews and breaking news. I listen to podcasts, and I listen to podcasts about technical people describing their cloud. And so I was listening to this one guy from Florida, and he said he was managing the cloud transition. And he said he would have 15 different things going on, one bit of information about the network, one bit of information about the servers, one bit of information about the email, one bit about this and that. And when there was a problem, the managers would come down and get in his way. And so what he decides to do to make his life easier, he decided to put up a dashboard so they wouldn't have to come down and bug him, and they would just see what's going on, and they could make business decisions based on information on his system. And so when I thought about having you guys back in the studio, I thought about this guy, and he said, I just did these guys off my back because I'm busy in the weeds, and they're asking me every 3 seconds what's going on. And so I think what's happening is there's hybrid clouds out there, there's public clouds, there's on-prem services, and everyone's trying to find out what's going on, especially if there's a problem. So is that really where it boils down to with this dashboard for cloud visualization information?
Well, John, that's certainly one of the use cases that analytics would be applied for. I mean, when you think about, migration to the cloud of a large enterprise organization, it's, not unlike the building of a budget and the execution of a budget, the, development of logistics capabilities. You got a lot of moving pieces and parts. They're all going to be sequenced, and there's going to be, changes that happen along the way. And as you noted, a lot of people are going to be wanting to pay attention because, this is a very important mission capability. The many legacy IT services that are being migrated, in some cases being modernized or mixed up as they make the move to the cloud. So analytics is an approach to being able to inform people with data for any number of use cases, and of course, those big IT projects fit the bill.
When I first heard about your company, QLIK, I kind of categorized it as business intelligence. Okay, BI, it's what it was. But since I first met you years ago, it's added a different type of intelligence, artificial intelligence. And so we take all these basic business intelligence concepts and trying to help people make business decisions. So artificial intelligence can be applied to this decision making as well, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's John, AI, just like in every other area of our life is playing an increasing role, whether it's, helping you discover the next book that you're going to read or the next restaurant that you might want to consider. In data, it's playing a role all the way through the life cycle. So AI and helping the folks that are building data sets to identify problems with data quality. AI that's defining how data relationships exist when you're combining multiple sources, AI that help you define or make recommendations for the best way to represent data, what type of chart or object. And then, of course, AI to help you to inform that user, whether that be through natural language type of query or telling them about insights that they may not have considered. And those are just at the front end. Obviously, artificial intelligence and machine learning are some of the biggest modern investments that are happening in the cloud and with data. And they're, tend to be directed at, okay, what do I expect to happen? Okay, I have this historical data set. How is that going to inform, the decisions I might make about what is going to happen in the future? So let's talk about supply chain and logistics. Hey, it looks like you may end up with a shortage of this XYZ widget, but you also have those available in these other areas. So with analytics, being able to get out ahead of that problem whereby you have plenty of supply just in the wrong places, and then making sure that you're making those choices informed with data to do that. So AI has absolutely become a foundational element. It went from being like this thing that we all spoke about like it was, the fancy new faucet in the kitchen that I was trying to sell as a home builder, to now just, as important as the 2x4s that sit behind the wall of that new home. So yeah, John, it's moving fast, and I can't even imagine, so I think we spoke first time maybe 3+ years ago, pre-pandemic. Imagine where we're going to be, 3 years beyond now.
There's a book I recommend in the classroom. It's by a guy named Simon Sinek, and you probably know it. It says, always start with why.
Yeah.
And maybe that should be on your business card, because I mean, if there's an issue in your network and you go down and start bugging your systems people and they don't want to hear it, well, maybe the issue has got to do with storage limitations or some incident that you can't figure or can't. I mean, it's always best to get the why, so then you can make a business decision on remedying the problem, whether it's an outsider's attack, whether it's running out of storage, whether it's ingesting tremendous amounts of information that are unanticipated. So is Click the Why company? Is that what we could say?
You maybe unknowingly, or maybe you've been reading some of the stuff that we've put out there. I've hit on one of what we would say is a big advantage that we bring to our customers. So one of our big themes right now is what we would call actionable intelligence. So it begins with this idea that I'm going to take data from the systems that are producing it. I'm going to bring it near real time into an analytics environment. I'm going to have continuous evaluation of that data going on, so that when I'm able to define certain things I'm looking for, again, low supply, or maybe a personnel issue, maybe a financial issue. I'm not executing as planned against my budget. Alert me. So now I've been alerted. I'm able to now engage at the right time in the business, and then dig into what happened. Like not just traditional BI is this many things happened over this period of time, but now get into what changed that brought about that result. And then, as we spoke about, AI being able to say, what's this pattern likely to be if it continues on for another 3 weeks, another 3 months? What kind of problems might I have? So I'm getting to the why. And then the real important step, and this is where, what hopefully I think we'll be talking about here in a little bit, is this, sort of innovation in the cloud is, how do I not just have the opportunity to say, okay, here's the problem, but to take action. As we move more things to the cloud, integration between third-party services becomes so much easier via the APIs that are now out from behind the traditional firewall. So let's say that I'm going to open up a request in ServiceNow, or I'm going to kick off some sort of process in UiPath. I really have the ability to integrate my analysis all the way into the action I'm going to take to address the why. And, that's the difference that I think we're going to see. If we, again, rear view mirror, most of BI was reports. Okay, this many things happened. The future of BI is going to inform an action that I take, rather than just tell me, okay, here's what's going on.
I'm glad you brought up ServiceNow, Because if we were sitting with software developers had a whiteboard, I put a big box and I'd put, okay, here's Andrew here and click. Then I put another big box in ServiceNow. So you've determined that there's an event. Well, now it has to be someone's taking action in that event. So we can have all the data we want if we don't have some kind of an action based on that. And so I think you're partnering with ServiceNow and a couple other companies, putting on an event on November 14th to show govies and federal people exactly how the system can work with cloud modernization. Is that coming up on November 14th?
November 14th, that's correct, John, and 1201 Wilson Boulevard in Roslyn, Virginia, at the Convene facility, just above where Gartner has their headquarters. And co-sponsoring it with AWS, Deloitte going to be a strategic partner in presenting that. And yes, ServiceNow, UiPath are going to be some of the partners that we're highlighting in this idea that, cloud modernization is really, and what we're doing in that event is we're trying to challenge the attendees to think differently about the way that they deliver mission capabilities. We're entering this era where it's all about these composable services. Analytics won't, in many cases, be the solution. It will be part of the solution. The solution, as we talked about just there, may involve needing to kick off some sort of multi-step approval workflow or some sort of robotic process automation that's going to go fetch something else and bring attention to another function within that process. This is what we see happening, and the ability to now, again, compose rapidly, integrate rapidly, and deploy at the speed of the mission, I think is the promise that this cloud ecosystem, particularly, I'm really excited with our recent achievement of our FedRAMP authorization in the AWS GovCloud. The ecosystem that we are now part of is so powerful. The capabilities that are there as the building blocks for those next generation mission capabilities are almost limitless.
I was at AWS Summit back in the spring, and there were speakers talking about Redshift, and many agencies have a bunch of stuff on Redshift. Well, what does that mean? How can you make an actionable decision based on that? I think what's interesting about this event is that, you're going to have someone from AWS who can talk about Redshift and someone maybe from Qlik who can talk about integration. And then what about someone from ServiceNow? So you could almost go to this event and pick and choose, grab the person that you need to get some information from. And if you are listening to this and trying to get information on it, you can use a bit.ly link. It's pretty simple. You go to a bit.ly.com and you type in QLIK Federal, a bit link at QLIK Federal, and get all information. It's right across from the Metro stop in Roslyn, so it's awfully easy to get to. Just 3 blocks from Deloitte too, so I guess there's Deloitte people showing up there, huh?
Yeah, they will. It'll be a short walk for them, shortest commute.
Yeah. It's like, it should be Roslyn/Deloitte Central.
Yeah.
So it's much more than just a dashboard. It seems like what's happening with Qlik is that you're moving it up to being a partner in integration of cloud modernization. And this is just one tool that can assist in that monstrous task. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go back. I really believe, we've joked around, and, Gartner's said, kind of joked around. I really would characterize it that way, as the dashboard being dead. And all that really means is, like, if I have an organization of 10,000 people, analytic maturity is probably, of people that want to engage with dashboards or those traditional types of reports, is probably going to be 20, 25%. But the remaining 70, 80%, 75, 80% of your organization, those people make decisions, whether those are really important decisions from strategic leaders or, folks at that maybe are providing security at your facilities. They make decisions. So how do I now put analytics into those things? And when I say those things, I really talk about a very generic, type of world of capabilities. Some of those things are just, workflows. Hey, I'm asking for time off. So now I'm the manager who's reviewing that time off request. Can I put analytics in there to help them understand, okay, what does the rest of my personnel look like? To be able to assemble those things that quickly and be able to turn out new capabilities that support anything from that super small little problem all the way up to the most strategic type of mission issues is what the future holds in the cloud.
Earlier you talked about being involved in this industry for 30 years. Well, 30 years ago, boys and girls, you'd show up on Monday morning and you'd have a meeting and someone would say, oh, by the way, we had a problem. And it almost like it was a top down type of troubleshooting for organizations, many of them. But I think with COVID and with the decentralization, and that's the word I wrote down while you were speaking, decentralization is just that, no, the decision-making process has to be done in a federated area where people can make decisions quickly, because they can't wait till Monday morning when everyone has a cup of coffee at 9 o'clock and talk about an issue, because it's the speed of now. There's no Monday morning anymore. It's right now, isn't it?
It is. And, what you're talking about, this, sort of federated authority is really about the culture of that organization. And we talk about data culture. And even in the reasonably short time I've been here, 8 years, I've seen it evolve so much. I was blown away recently to hear that, one of our DoD customers has 1-star generals briefing 3- and 4-star generals from a dashboard. Just 5 years ago, anyone that was a flag officer was probably being briefed via PowerPoint. And we were impressed when we were hearing about, senior leaders demanding that that their staff was briefing them. That's percolated all the way up. When you start talking about this federated decision-making, they're now empowering and engaging senior leaders to brief other senior leaders. And I guarantee you, if it's happened there, it's happened at every other level of the organization. There is an expectation that you understand how data supports your role in the organization, no matter how low down in the chain of command that role might be.
Right. I've read about a program that I don't want to put you on the spot now. It's called Advana at the DoD. Is this one application of deriving information from analytics?
Yeah, that's advancing analytics, and it's I've said it maybe even on your show back, and this is long before it reached where it is right now, that I believe it is the most successful data initiative that has ever gone on in the federal government. And I don't say that to brag about our achievements. The achievements here are really around leadership and the things that they've been able to do to be able to bring in stakeholders and keep them engaged. Advana now is an enterprise platform across the DoD that is serving financial management, personnel, readiness, supply chain, contracting, procurement, and it really is integrating sort of the boardroom to the battlefield for, I think we're up to 600 source systems across many, many domains. And again, just a really inspiring example of what's possible, even in the most complex organizations, when some of the theoretically simple barriers are removed and people are allowed to are enabled to go out and deliver mission capabilities.
So if you have any complex problems and you're a federal agency, November 14th in Roslyn is an event. You can use the bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/click QLIK federal and get more information, talk from a wide variety of solution providers. And I think, Andrew, you can speak there too, or are you just going to be there?
I will be welcoming people, and for the most part, I mean, it's going to be an interesting event. It's not, we're not trying to put Click at the center of it. So, we kick off the morning with our CEO, Monica McEwen, who's the managing director in their data and AI practice at Deloitte, and then the gentleman who runs all the global public sector partnerships for AWS. They're going to sort of lay down the gauntlet in terms of the challenge of, what is this era? What does it mean to how we can approach these things? We'll bring together a Click and some vendors to do some presentations. And then we've got some practitioners, some folks that have been in the job to talk about how they do it.
That's what I want. Forget about you guys. I want someone who's gotten mad and got yelled at.
Exactly. And the people who understand, like, it's easy for me to talk about pie in the sky possibility, but when that meets the policy and the requirements that they have to secure data and protect their enterprise, those are the real stories. And so we've assembled a group of folks that have got some great backgrounds to be able to talk about, how do I get from where I am to where this potential is? What's the path look like?
Oh, good. Speaking of path, we're at the end of our path today. You've been listening to Federal Tech Podcast with John Gilroy. I'd like to thank my guest, Andrew Churchill, Vice President, Federal Sales at Click.
John, great to talk to you.